Do you know the feeling of wanting to study but having no motivation at all? Or maybe not knowing where to start? I got a comment on one of my videos asking what to do when you aren't motivated to study but you still want to learn a language. So I thought of some tips that can positively influence your motivation to study, and I am going to show those to you today. So the first thing you should pay attention to is your study space / environment. I always clean my desk when I start to study because a messy desk always distracts me. Usually a clean desk for me means that there are pens on my table, and most of the times my laptop is on my table as well if I'm using it, or my tablet or any other study material I will be needing. Also make sure that you have something to drink nearby. I always like to have water, and in the winter time I also like to drink some tea. I like to open the window before I start studying and also when I'm taking study breaks so that I will always have fresh air. Since it's the winter time, you might also want to put on some warm socks or maybe even light up a candle. I always love candlelight. It makes me feel cozy and warm. If you want to feel cozy and warm, you could also just take a blanket and snuggle in it. Just do whatever it takes that makes you feel comfortable when you're studying so that you can have a productive study session. I like to study with music, so I personally find Korean coffee shop music very motivating. I went to Korea in December 2019 with my friend, and we went to cafes every day and did some studying. We had our coffee and were able to hear people speak Korean all around us, and the music was so nice. That's why when I listen to Korean coffee shop playlists on YouTube, I always think back to the time me and my friend were in Seoul, living our best lives, and that just always gives me a boost of motivation. There are a lot of study playlists on Spotify and also on YouTube, so you can check those out. Similarly to what music can trigger in me, maybe videos or pictures might trigger the same feeling in you. If there are any videos that motivate you, put them in a playlist and watch them when you aren't feeling motivated. I know that a lot of people want to learn Korean because of K-pop or K-dramas, so watch some clips of your favorite K-drama or your favorite idol, and then you'll maybe feel a little more motivated to study. In regard to pictures, you can use Pinterest and look for pictures that motivate you to study. As an example, I searched for study motivation and I also searched for study aesthetics. Of course, you can also choose pictures that aren't study related. For example, if you're learning Korean, you could choose to put pictures of Korea into your Pinterest board, or pictures of your favorite K-pop group, or pictures of your favorite drama. Whatever it is that motivates you to study, you can put on your board. Then if you're not feeling so motivated but you really want to study, you could just browse through your Pinterest board in hopes of getting a little bit of motivation to start. You could also print out some motivating pictures and place them in your desk area, like maybe above it or next to it, and that way you look at them more often. I have some magnets I brought from Korea, and that red thing is from China. Here's a picture of me from Korea, and the next picture is one I took in China. You could also study together with a friend. Maybe you have a friend who wants to learn the same language as you, then you can practice together. You can meet up in real life, or you could also just study over Zoom. And if you have a friend who's learning a different language from you, you could still study together. You can set up a study date, and then you just individually study the language you're currently learning, but it will still give you a boost of motivation because you agreed to meet up with your friend and get some work done. If none of your friends want to study with you, or you don't want to study with them, you could also just put on a study with me video on YouTube. And I saw that on YouTube there are also BTS study with me, so if you're a BTS fan and they are one of the reasons for you learning Korean, then I think that would be very motivating. But if you're not a BTS fan, there are also a bunch of other study with me videos. Probably the most important thing to figure out is what do you want, why are you learning the language you are learning, or why do you want to learn that language. If you know why you study or what you study for, you will automatically be more motivated and studying won't feel like a burden. Big goals can often be quite frustrating and scary, therefore you should also think of some small goals that are more tackable and will lead you to your big goal. Examples for big goals are you want to be able to talk with a certain person, or maybe you want to live in another country, or you want to watch something without subtitles, you want to read something and understand it. You have to figure out your personal reason. Like, there are so many reasons for studying a language, and you have to find out what that reason for yourself is. And then examples for smaller goals would be that you want to be able to introduce yourself, or you want to be able to talk about your interests, or you want to finish this language study book by July, or you want to be able to pass this language test, for example the HSK test or the topic test. These small goals are supposed to lead you to your big goal, and they are like, you could think of them as checkpoints, and if you achieve one of them, then you'll move on to the next one. After you've decided what your goals are, the next step would be to tailor your study sessions according to your goals. You have to decide on your own what that would look like, but I'm going to give you a couple of examples. For example, if you have a certain book you want to finish, you can decide to do one lesson per day, or if you can't invest that much time into the language you're learning, you could also decide to do 3 lessons per week. Your study sessions should also be quite versatile so that you won't get bored easily and lose motivation. You could watch 10 minutes of a show in your target language, or you could read a webtoon and pick out some words you want to learn. You could also use one day and dedicate it to reviewing everything you learned in that week. And you should also decide if you want to set certain times or days in the week to study, or if you want to just study when you're in the mood for it, or if you want to study every day or 2 times a day. You have to find out what works best for you and what will lead you to your goals. Lastly, I want to give you some ideas on what you can do although you are not motivated but you really want to study on that day. The first thing you can do is practice vocab with an app. It's really easy. You don't have to write anything down. You can just take out your phone and start practicing. If you don't want any new input, you could also just review what you did the last time you studied your language and just read through your notes or go through the vocabulary you learned. You could also just watch a vocabulary video on YouTube and repeat what they're saying. No need to write anything down. You just listen and repeat. You could also do some reading. If you have a textbook and there are dialogues in it, just read those dialogues, practice them. You could also actively listen to music. Just try to hear as many words as you know. Most of the time when we listen to music in our target language, you don't really understand. It's all just a mess, but you can try to actively listen to the song and filter out words that you might have already learned. After doing these rather simple things, you might feel more energized and more motivated, so that you actually want to continue to study and move on to the next chapter or the next lesson, or learn something new, a new grammar or whatever. To finish this video off, I just want to say, in the end, you won't always be motivated, even if you follow these tips, and you definitely don't have to. On those days you're feeling less motivated, you decide on your own whether you push through or take a break. You don't have to study every day. It's just important that you yourself know what your goals are and how much work you have to put in to achieve them. Always commit to your plan realistically, take breaks, and celebrate your achievements. And with that, I am thanking you for watching this video. Feel free to share why you study the language or the languages of your choice, and you can also comment some things that motivate you to study.